Welcome to the club, 'cause you're that kind of nerd.
Hello and welcome to the club that is That Kind of Nerd, a show where we talk about the nerdy things we're passionate about and judge each other on what we bring to the table. I am your host this week, Brian Thornton. I'm joined by my two competitors, I'll say.
I guess so.
CJ Mellon, Joshua Burns.
Salutations.
Yo, what up?
Now, since relaunching what some people on this podcast truly believe is the best nerdy podcast on planet Earth, we do have a new format. So how this is going to work is each person brings a topic, and much like the teeny bopper love triangle that I am caught in, they will try to impress me with all of their things that they can say about said topics. I will be awarding points, and whoever wins at the end gets to host next week. So that being said, let's start off with a little bit of, I don't know, banter, as they call it in the biz.
I'm a little concerned that you're in your mid-30s and you're trapped in a teenage love triangle. Is everything all right?
You know what? I blame you two. Why you guys find me so irresistible? I can't, can't control that.
That sounds about right.
How has your weeks been?
Can't complain. Right now, Comic-Con is happening. We're not talking about it in this episode just because, Comic-Con's not done by the time that we're recording this, and then we have to sift through it all. So it's, not something we can report live time, but I'm enjoying watching all the TikToks of people living their better life and spending absorbent amounts of money on things I'll never own.
And let's face it, all the big stuff at Comic-Con happens on Saturday. Yeah. And then we record this on Saturday, so we'll have to kind of stay tuned. I'm already seeing some things that I'm excited about. And watching the TikToks and all the booths. God, I miss it like, hey, I went there every year, but I went twice. Both times were such a great experience. I would love to go back there one day. But yeah, other than that, that's my week. Josh, how have you been doing? Anything new going on in your life?
New tattoo from my left wrist to elbow, so that's healing and it's itchy as hell. But other than that, yeah, great, awesome,
exciting. I know we talked about tattoos a couple episodes ago, so that's cool. You let me know when you need those pictures of whatever superhero you're going to put in there. I think you have the koi fish going on so far, so I don't know if there's a superhero going to be
not on my left arm. On my right forearm, though, I'm thinking about doing a kind of a choose your weapon type of thing, and so like a probably a lightsaber. A famous sword, maybe Loki's scepter, and then a pen.
Nice. I like that.
So I may need pictures for reference on that stuff.
Or get a pencil, Dark Knight it,
That's right. Yeah, I was really thinking more about the more literal pen is mightier than the sword. But
that's what I was thinking too. But
I guess I could make a pencil disappear. Sure.
Nah. Who cares about that shit?
Gone.
I thought it was the penis mightier.
The pen. That's the pen.
Mr. Connery, the pen is mightier. I don't get what you call it. Doesn't work. Anyway,
will it really mighty my penis?
Will it really mighty my penis? 2
points to Josh for being cultured. And minus 2 points for me for not realizing that that's what he was going for. Alrighty, so I you know what? I know last week we chose chaos, and I enjoyed that, but I don't have a little wheel spinny thing. So, who wants to go first this week? Who has the topic to impress me the most?
Impress you?
I don't know. Again, we're trapped in this love triangle. Who's gonna get asked to the big dance? I don't know. You have to show me.
I'm gonna kick it off. I'm gonna kick it off because I have a topic that I know there will be some conversation, but I don't think it'll be a terribly long conversation.
Okay.
There are actors and actresses that when I see them, I turn off whatever. Right? Or like I, I'm in the mood for a movie and I'm scrolling and, I want to watch that. Oh, but he's in it or she's in it. And I can't do it. And there, I have one in particular that I'm like, oh, she just ruins everything. I can't watch anything with this person. So I want to talk about that. If there's only one, fine. If you have a male and a female, fine. If there's a handful that you just absolutely can't stand, that's okay too. So that is the topic that I introduced for your consideration. Should you?
I'm going to jump on top of this right now because
I figured you might.
So
I should also say, just in case, Brian, you were going to go there anyway. You can extend this to producers, writers, and directors.
Oh, well then I'm in for that one.
Right. Okay. I actually have way more then. But I was actually just talking about this with my wife. Because I don't know if you've seen the new Lending Tree commercials, but I hate them. And they have Molly Shannon in them. And she's one of those people I've never, even on her SNL days, I never really found her funny. I tolerate her in Night at the Roxbury because she is such a small role and she's not even trying to be funny. She is like the harpy that's like kind of trying to separate the brothers in that movie. I don't think she's funny. She does annoy the hell out of me. And I was just talking because like we watch HGTV and there's Lending Tree commercials literally every commercial break. And I'm going to let you go ahead and Google Lending Tree Molly Shannon. I'm sure they're on YouTube, but it's all just 5 minutes of her going, the lenders came to Linda and I need some coffee with some Splenda. And like everything she says ends with the enda.
The rising inflection? Like everything's a question?
It's not funny. It's annoying as hell. And you know what? It's a commercial. So good for them because they got their freaking bug in my ear and I can't stop thinking about it. So I think, the annoyance of it is the point of it. But I just don't find her funny. And like I cannot watch anything with her in it. So there's one. I think you all know so here's the funny thing. I think you all are expecting me to say Melissa McCarthy, but I'll still watch Melissa McCarthy movies.
I wasn't expecting that.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say.
I was.
9 times out of 10, she works with somebody I like, and I like them more than I hate her. The funny thing about Melissa McCarthy for me is I've seen her in things that I like, so I know she can do it. But with Molly Shannon, it's like, I'm yet to see anything that you're funny in. And you know what? Some people find her funny. Some people find her hilarious. Good for them. It's just not me. I will go down the director's rabbit hole, and this will start a little argument. I hate the Coen brothers.
Yeah, that's why I included it because I didn't want you to break the rule and throw the Coen brothers in there. So I expanded the rule.
You expanded the rule, and I will tell you, there are 2 directors that I've given multiple chances, and every single time I'm like, why? Why did I try this? Why did I even bother again? And it's the Coen brothers and it's Wes Anderson. I can't stand either of them. I can't watch any of their movies. I've seen, as far as Wes Anderson goes, I've seen Royal Tenenbaums. I've seen Life Aquatic. I've seen Fantastic Mr. Fox. I just am not into whatever style he's got. It's not me.
Sounds like you just don't like dry humor.
Wes
Anderson's a whole aesthetic.
Wes Anderson is a whole.
We're gonna limit something just because it won't fit in the aesthetic, right? Yeah. And just like, we'll only show it in this way, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm just not a fan. The only Coen Brothers movie that I semi enjoy is Big Lebowski. Anything else, I can't get behind. Now, you know what? I will give you this. It's been several years since I've seen a Coen Brothers movie. Maybe my 36-year-old me will put on a Coen Brothers movie and get something out of it. But when I was watching them, I've watched The Lady Killers, I've seen Fargo, I've seen Big Lebowski, like a lot of their earlier stuff. I watched all of that stuff. Just did not tickle me, did not get me to go anywhere. So, I give you 3 or 4 chances when it comes to directors. Because the thing is, like, directors, you know what? Like, sometimes there's no saving bad writing, right? And maybe you are just the guy who just picked up the wrong project, right? Sometimes, you can do your best and you can do your best with the actors, but some actors just, are not right for the material and you can't do much with it. And so I give directors a lot of slack. But like if I watch 3 or 4 of your films and I'm like, I don't, then that's the sign that I'm never going to like any of your stuff. So I just give up after that point. I'm going to stop because I probably could think of some more, but you two gentlemen are the ones combating for points. So you go ahead and see how you do.
This is tough because, to Brian's point, there are actors and actresses that when I see them, I'm like, oh, man, no. Like, no. But also, wow, they're in with a lot of people that I like, so like I could tolerate you a little bit if you're balanced out by, by someone really great. If you're in a movie with Christian Bale, I want to see the Christian Bale movie enough they'll put up with the other person. You know what I mean? Like I'll balance this out. But Rebel Wilson is on my number one list of just I can't. No, I'm sorry. Like there's that movie on Netflix right now with her and
where she's like in a coma and she goes back to high school.
Yeah, and it's got the guy from This Is Us, and I heard it's pretty funny, but I just can't. Right? I can't do Rebel Wilson. I really wish I could give her a shot, even in Pitch Perfect. I'm sitting here going, I don't want to. Please just be smaller pieces. Please just be Anna Kendrick, right? Just balance it out. So that's one person. The other is Pete Davidson. I don't get the appeal. I don't understand it. Even everyone's talking about this. What is it like? The Brooklyn movie. I don't know the title.
King of Staten Island.
King of Staten Island. Yeah. I can't get into it.
Listen, I tried to watch King of Staten Island, and what I will say to you about that film is it is like 5.5 hours long, and that's not true, but it feels like it.
Yep.
And it's just it's not that great. I definitely CJ 1 point for Pete Davidson because I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't understand the appeal either, but there is one funny thing that I've ever seen him do in a movie, and ironically, it's in a straight to Netflix film. Have you guys ever seen, I think it's called Set It Up or Set It Off? It's got Zoe Deutsch in it. And it's her and, insert CW dashing handsome man here. And they are like, they play assistants to like really high powered business people in New York. And they get their lives are miserable. So their whole concept is, you know what? Let's set these two bosses up and maybe they'll be a little bit happier. And maybe we can actually have some lives, and maybe we can actually,
Oh, I have heard about this. Yes.
It's a good movie. It is legit a really good movie. Zoe Deutsch is one of those people who I definitely think is like totally underrated. So I'll watch a lot of stuff that she's in. And Pete Davidson is in it, and at the end of the film, he plays like the main lead's best friend. So he's barely in it.
Right.
And the funniest thing I've ever seen him do is at the end of the film. The main dude, I think he like quits his job and he's like, I'm done. And then the boss, played by Taye Diggs, comes to try and like, Taye
Diggs.
Tries to come and, say, hey, come back and work for me. And Pete Davidson just happens to be walking out at the same time. He's holding like one of those giant Dunkin' Donuts, like cups of iced coffee.
Right.
And he's like, oh, hey, you're his boss. And he's like, yeah. He just throws the Dunkin' Donuts at him. It just explodes all over him. And then he just walks away. And it was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen him do. And I doubt it was ad-libbed. I'm sure it was scripted. But yeah, definitely. Anyway, I interrupted you. Continue, sir.
My final one that I can think of right now, because I also have some other people that I don't enjoy their acting, but not enough that I wouldn't see a movie. And I also don't want to just sit here and bash a whole bunch of actors and actresses that turn in good performances that I just don't personally agree with. But the one that got added to my list right now, and I'm very conflicted, and it's a little heavy, so I'm not going to go into detail, but David O. Russell as a director right now is on my list of, oh man, like I love everything you do. Can you not be just like a garbage person though? Like, I really want to see Amsterdam, but like, all right, maybe I'll see. I'll rethink it. And it comes to a larger conversation, but right now it's just one of those things. As soon as I saw the name, I was like, fuck, I don't know if I can give you money. No, thank you.
The
I
drama
believe.
aside, and I don't want to belittle it by calling it drama, but I don't want to dive too deep in it. Can you educate Joshua and I on some of his films real quick?
Some of his films. Oh, he's known for Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle, The Fighter.
Good movies.
Great fucking movies. Like, amazing movies. He gets everyone in Hollywood to perform with him, right? He's just apparently a huge, gigantic, abusive asshole. So, great stuff. And art from artists, but that right now it's on my list of I just don't know if I can say yes.
Josh, who do you think of?
Yeah. If there's a movie that has Nicole Kidman in it, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm just not. I don't care how good it might be. She ruins everything, and she's awful. Ruins a perfectly good Tom Cruise movie every time.
Well, ruined a perfectly good Tom Cruise.
That's right.
That's not. That's
but like,
that's not true. I went for the joke. It's not true.
Days of Thunder. It should be amazing. I should be able to watch it whenever I want, and I can't because Nicole Kidman is in it.
Are you telling me you don't want her playing an Australian, dating an Australian in a movie called Australia? Like that doesn't sell a movie to you?
That's what I'm saying. Nicole Kidman. Nope.
What about her in Batman Forever?
Not in any role.
I love her in Batman.
Wow,
as anyone ever.
Line in the sand.
Wow. Okay.
You
know what, Josh? 1 point for your conviction.
That's right. I'm also going to throw and not that she ruins movies, but I think maybe is a garbage person. Amy Schumer. Nope.
Oh yes, I'm 100%. Yep.
Under no circumstances ever. I don't not a commercial. Nothing.
Yep.
Not
nothing.
the Oscars? You didn't like her hosting the Oscars?
No.
I don't even know what those are. What are those? Those aren't actual things.
I will join you on the hate for Amy Schumer. Yep.
Not a chance. And then listen, Tim Burton, get out. Get out of here.
Okay.
With everything. Listen, I can't even watch because I don't like Tim Burton. Because he's fucking weird.
All right, Josh. So here's the deal. I would take away points because I happen to be a big Tim Burton fan. But,
I know, I hate him.
I'm not. So hang on. Here's what we're gonna do. -2 points for hating Tim Burton, but +2 points because for the same reasons I hate Wes Anderson. So you're at a net 0.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you see Tim Burton's name on the marquee, right, of the movie, right? If it's just produced by, he's not directing it, he's not in it, he's just producing. Are you still hard passing on it because of that?
I'm going to the next line down, and if Helena Bonham Carter or Johnny Depp is in it, I'm out.
Well, I mean, I can't. Besides of Norman, I think, or Frankenweenie, I don't think there's anything else that doesn't include them.
That's kind of my point. We figure out how to cast anyone. Figure out how to cast an actor. I just don't like. I can't even watch Batman. You know what I mean? I can't do it because I just hate him. I don't like the feel of really anything he does at all. I can't get behind it. I hate it. I want nothing to do with it. Oh, and then to a lesser degree, but also I'm not watching anything. And this might, I'm sure I'm not the only one here, but anything involving any Wayans not named Damon.
You know what's so funny, Josh? And Josh, plus 1 point because we're about to be synchronicious in our thinking here. I don't know why, but like 2 nights ago at like 1 a.m. when I'm trying to fall asleep because I have to get up in 2 hours to be with the baby, my brain got caught in this loop of what is the 4th Wayne's brother? What is his name?
Sean.
Right, it's Sean. I had to Google it, but for like 45 minutes, I'm like, all right, there's Keenan Ivory. There's Damon. Damon's the good one. We like Damon. There's Marlon.
Yep. Right.
Who's the one who's always with Marlon?
Sean.
Exactly.
Right.
Sean.
You've got the smart one, the talented one, the annoying one and the irrelevant one.
All right, so I'm going to give you 2 points for that whole Marlon Wayne or whole Wayne's Brothers breakdown, because you're absolutely right. You know what's so funny? Speaking of the talented one, Damon, I'll watch Major Payne any day of the week. That movie
100%.
still holds up for me. It's still
The Last Boy
hilarious.
Scout. The Last Boy Scout.
Last Boy Scout's great. But Major Payne, you know when you go back and you revisit movies that you thought were funny when you were 13, and you're like, this isn't as funny anymore. Major Payne is one of those movies that I thought was hilarious at 13, and I still think is hilarious today.
And I know,
fantastic.
Like, I know the guy. I know he's a bit of a dick, but like, I don't care. Like, I just because I've loved almost everything he's done since I was a kid. I mean, he Murtaugh'd the hell out of Roger Murtaugh.
Yeah, he was good.
I mean, just I have if he's in it, fine. But if anyone he's related to is in it.
I'm gonna need to see a family tree. Are you 3 times removed from the family?
With the obvious exception being his son. Like,
yes,
because it's basically him.
Yeah.
So
I love when he showed up in Happy Endings too, and played his dad, and you're like, yes, this is perfect.
That's a show that was canceled too soon. You know what, CJ? Plus 2 points for making me remember Happy Endings. All right. Well, I mean. I think like we said, we could probably wax poetic for a while about movies, actors, directors that we're not huge fans of. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with my topic because you know what? I am the host and screw you both. Okay.
You can.
So let's jump in. So a couple days ago, I was listening to a podcast. Some might say it is the greatest nerdy podcast in the world, or on planet Earth. However you want to word it. And one of the hosts was kind of a dick about sports. I was like, what is this guy doing? The hell? You don't have to be like that. You don't have to be a dick. So I wanted to rectify this situation. And I wanted to say, I am not a fan of sports. I think we all understand that. It's not my thing. I truly do not begrudge other people who like sports. But you know what I do love? Sports movies. And I am watching Ted Lasso with my wife.
Yep.
And that show does so many good things, not just, from a show standpoint, but from a sports storyline.
Yep.
To the point where, like, I said to Cassandra last night, I was like, this show makes me want to get into soccer. It makes me want to play soccer. Like, it's not going to happen, but it gives me that feeling. And I think what you got to do to be a good sports movie is you need to take a guy like me who knows nothing about the sport. I know nothing about soccer. Give me enough information to know why the thing is important, right? Why is this game important? Why is it such a big deal that we practice and win and all that stuff? I think you need to set those stakes, right? And then I think you need to have a good character-driven story. And the sport is really the backdrop for it. I think most good sports movies are character-driven stories that just happen to have a sport in it. Or it could be around like, hey, do we win the big game? Or the sport can be completely ancillary, like Point Break and Point Break with cars, right? Like that's the sport is not the reason we're here, but it's a cool backdrop, right? So I wanted to ask you fine gentlemen, and you can say Ted Lasso, we can talk about it forever. But what are your favorite sports movies and or television shows?
I'm going to throw one that's going to come out of left field, right? For me, I think maybe
plus
on
1
people's
point to
list.
CJ for the pun. Go ahead.
Which is I really liked Draft Day with Kevin Costner. And I shouldn't. Me, CJ Mellon, should not like that movie. It is about because it's not really about the sports, right? It's all
about the most
about
boring part of the sport.
It's false.
No.
That is not true.
Right, no.
For CJ.
For me, it's the most boring part, the back end part, the training part. I care about run the football and dodge out and the training, and this is more about like The Office, right? And the all the power dynamics that go into that movie. And I started this going, I don't think this is going to be very good. And here I am at the end of it going, fuck yeah, all right, let's do this. Like, just watching this.
You put a person on paper.
Like, well, watching him change people's lives. Also, just making really tough decisions. Is he willing to make these big sacrifices for the good of the team, but also just the franchise and his job? Like, it dragged me in, and it was character, driven for that one. But at the end of the day, I cared about the Cleveland Browns. What? How the hell did this happen? How do I care about the Cleveland Browns? But it was just a phenomenal movie that sucked me in, and I couldn't believe that I got interested in that part of the sport, right? And was like, oh yeah, all right. Now for Josh, that is like probably more exciting than the actual games themselves, right? Like all the GM work and all that stuff that goes.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I think it's fascinating. Yes.
Right. I thought this would be almost like what Moneyball really is. Not the movie Moneyball. I'm talking the concept of Moneyball of the spreadsheets, right? It's all this, and I thought it would just be a formulaic movie. And no, it was really good. It got me hooked on it. And Josh, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the episode of The West Wing where they're at the Democratic National Convention, and it's just shots of them in a conference room, spinning, making phone calls, right? The lights are kind of going off in the background, but just like in that moment, all they're saying is, will you please vote for us? But they're like, come on, motherfucker, vote for us! Like the energy is at a 10.
Yeah.
So Draft Day came up as to one that I did not expect to like at all.
Draft Day is amazing.
I've never seen Draft Day, so
is that your favorite? Is that your favorite sports movie? Then?
No. My favorite sports movie is Remember the Titans.
Okay, well that was the question, but I appreciate the introduction.
I said some of your favorite sports movies. So Draft Day could be up there.
It left
Remember
open.
the Titans, absolutely.
Remember the Titans is my favorite. And,
okay,
and that is the one that not only do I care about the outcome of the sport, I care about the backdrop of the people. Taking away some incredible lessons from it. My favorite one that I reference a lot is attitude reflects leadership. Right? It's something that every time I get into a disagreement, even in my professional life, and I'm like, this guy's got a bad attitude. And then my brain just instinctively goes, attitude reflects leadership, asshole. Is that you? Are you the leadership that's being reflected right now? Or is this someone else and you need to work with it? Attitude reflects leadership pops up in my brain almost once a month. But everything about that movie is spectacular. The performances, the sport itself, the fact they go on for that perfect season and they shouldn't, and they have to overcome so much just to get to where they're going. It's probably my favorite sports movie of all time. Now we turn over to someone who actually knows the sport.
I was about to say, I know Josh. Josh, you got to have like a long list, and
I like Wimbledon. That's the one.
I'll keep it.
Wimbledon is delightful.
It's a great movie.
I did not hate Wimbledon.
CJ plus 1 point for Wimbledon.
Paul Bettany, Kirsten Dunst can't really.
James McAvoy's in that too.
Yeah, but like Paul Bettany as the winding down his career and gets reinvigorated by this love story. It was a good flick. So I just watched recently King Richard. I thought it was great, and I want to make sure that I plug that because I think that Serena Williams alone is maybe the most overlooked figure in sports. Period. She's not brought up in the same breath as Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan, and she should be. She might be the best athlete in the world, period, considering her age and how well she's still playing. However, when you consider that these two girls were the best in the world at the same time and came up with their father trying to get him a shot and was relentless. Like the story's amazing, and if you haven't seen it, it was a really, really, really great movie with just enough of the sport in it to make it a sports movie, right? Although there's certainly much bigger themes at play. My favorite sports movie of all time is Major League. It will always be Major League, because it's a comedy, right? And you know that from the very beginning, it's a comedy, right? Because there's the oh Jesus, what's the guy's Randy Newman. You got the Randy Newman song playing as you the camera opens up on the Cuyahoga and it's sort of showing you the steam stacks in Cleveland, and it's a blue collar town and there's these guys working, and they're showing you pictures and images of the Indians, right? And now the Cleveland Guardians. But and like immediately they're like, these guys are shitty, right? Like this is the whole the whole feeling is like it's going to be another losing season, right? I don't even know who these guys are.
I don't even know anything about them, but they
Right.
suck.
Right. This guy's dead. Cross him off then. It's just a good quotable movie, but like in there somehow you get this amazing story of teamwork and growth, right? And perseverance. And it's really spectacular and has just, I think, one of the best endings to a sports movie ever. It's just really, really fantastic. I have to mention Hoosiers because of all the same reasons that CJ loves Remember the Titans. I love Hoosiers. It is all those things. There's a lot of stuff at play there. There's a lot of lessons to be learned, and it's a really fantastic movie. And who doesn't like an underdog story? I watch Draft Day more than I should probably, but we do. Christian and I watch it before the draft every year, right? And he gets all amped up because he's all about trying to call out who's going to go where and when. And
Josh, plus 1 point for family traditions.
yeah, I think that being as into fantasy football as I am is what got me so interested in the sort of the inner workings of football itself. Not that I'm not that interested in the inner workings of baseball. However, outside the Yankees, I don't care what these guys do. Right? Just go away. But in football, I care very much who goes where and when and who's trading and how that's working and the stuff that these GMs do leading up to the draft and on draft day and the amount of resources they have to marshal to get the job done. It's crazy. I mean, it's a crazy cycle to try to build a winning franchise. It's damn near impossible when you look at it. It's 32 teams. And after nearly 100 years of professional football, there are still teams who have never won a championship.
Yep. Still.
So, it's that kind of thing where you're going, wow, it must be more difficult than I thought. And that, sprinkle a little Sonny Weaver magic. That's some pretty great stuff, man. I can't argue that point at all. And I am omitting movies like Field of Dreams and The Natural, right? Because they're, I believe, way less about the sport. And then I'll throw, this is not on my list of favorites, although if you haven't watched the new Adam Sandler movie Hustle on Netflix,
That looked good.
you need to watch it immediately because it is another Adam Sandler in a dramatic role. And this guy, he is really, he's really got some chops, man. And, I guess, you just always look at him as the W guy, and he's just not.
What guy?
I'm not saying I'm not doing it again. I'm not. He is really a spectacular dramatic actor, and the movie Hustle was it's worth a watch or two. So Major League, Hoosiers, Draft Day, probably my favorite football movie. And there are some other good ones there too. It just, the program and Any Given Sunday and The Longest Yard, and they're all, a bit more cliche than Draft Day, which I didn't find cliche at all.
I love it. Josh, I feel like you brought more to the table that topic, so I'm going to give you 2 points just because I haven't given points in a while. CJ, you gave more for the last topic, so I'm going to give you 1 point just because I feel like it. So there's that. So I'm going to give you a couple sports movies that I think, when I think, hey, these are some of the best sports movies. And I agree with all of you. I agree with the Remember the Titans. So I'm not going to dive down that rabbit hole. But 3 that were not mentioned, I would say definitely deserve to be on the list. Number 1, Miracle, Kurt Russell, 1984 Olympic hockey team. I love that movie. Every time I watch it, I still it's one of those movies that like gets me like, I know what's going to happen. Regardless of like the movie is the fact that I've seen the movie before, it's history, right? We all know what happened.
There's 80 though.
Huh?
1980.
1980? I thought it was 84.
Yeah. No, it's 80.
Josh, plus 1 point for correcting me. So, but the point is, I still get like amped up, like excited, like I'm watching it live somehow. And that's something that's really hard to do in a sports film. And I think that movie does it expertly. Venturing to the other side of the comedy spectrum, kind of living in that major league zone. The Replacements with Keanu Reeves is such an underrated sports film. I love that film. It still makes me laugh. I think it's great. And you know, I still like every once in a while, like I still say widery. Yeah, like I'll still say it, and like no one knows that I'm doing it, but if they do know, we've got a connection, because that was a movie that I don't think got its due, and I think it really I should be up there with Major League.
It's underrated. I always go, oh, son of a bitch, I'm a son of a bitch. Always, it's great.
I think it should be up there with like some of the best comedy sports movies with Major League, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, and you know what, it could be cliche, but I don't care. I love the Rocky series, and Rocky Balboa is, you know, the definition of an underdog story, right? And I love that that series of, what are we on now? 8 movies?
Yeah. My problem with that series is that it's so far removed from what boxing is that I'm just like, this is not a boxing movie.
You telling me they don't train punching meat for real?
They look, and they might. I think that might be something that people could do. But boxing is nicknamed the sweet science. A disciplined boxer like Apollo Creed is always going to beat the guy with the big heart. Always, because it's not about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Because here's the thing, a kidney shot or a liver punch is going to drop you to your knees and you won't be able to move forward. And guys like Apollo Creed, right? And when I'm thinking about it, Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and certainly, like, I mean, Roy Jones, if he hits you in the liver, that's it. That's the fight. And it only takes one shot. Yeah, Rocky, amazing movies. They're just not boxing movies.
And listen, I'm not gonna argue the sports side of things with you. I'm gonna argue the movie logic here isn't that the point of the first film? He still has heart throughout that series, but he gains the skill over time. He loses that first match with Apollo Creed. And it's one of those films that says, hey, even in loss, there is a win, which his win was, I lasted against one of the most disciplined boxers in like, I got to the end, and he still lost. So yeah, even though you're like, yeah, go Rocky, is like, you know, he still lost the match. Isn't that the point of that film? Is that, yes, heart gets you a long way.
The first one, yes.
Yeah, and he proves the skill over time.
Yeah, the rest of them turn into something different, right? And it's ironic because I'm remembering we talked last week about The Fighter, and we were talking about that movie, and that's another one of, hey, this actually shows the real sport of a boxing, the training that goes into it, and everything that's there. But after you get to Rocky 2 and 3, and you start going down the Rocky train, it becomes more about the motivational sides, right? It becomes about the speeches. It becomes about you've got the heart and you've got the desire. You're always going to win. And sometimes, to Josh's point, when you get punched in the fucking face by somebody, you're probably going to go down, right?
Yeah, and you know, that reminds me of the Mike Tyson quote: "Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face."
Yep.
Right?
Love that one.
And you know, from a, I enjoy the Creed movies far more than I do the Rocky movies now. But look, when I was a kid, I mean, Rocky 4 was it. Rocky 4 was, I mean, I was a huge fan. And then I started watching boxing, and I was like, well, this isn't like Rocky at all.
Well, you grew up right at the time where that was hitting the zeitgeist, right? The whole point of that movie is we were in the Cold War.
That's right. And yes.
Yeah, Josh, you're old.
Yeah, Josh.
It reminded me that commies are evil, but they could change.
Right.
So
with heart,
as long as they decided to align with our Western philosophy,
embrace capitalism, you'll be fine.
Then they're good people too.
CJ, plus 1 point for being young like me. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's plenty of sports films. I got some things that I want to watch. I want to watch Hustle. I do want to finish Draft Day. I will say this. I've seen like 10, 15 minutes of Draft Day.
I recommend it, man. It's really good.
And since it comes so highly recommended by both of you, I probably will take some time and watch that. After maybe the Ted Lasso rewatch, because we're at the end of season 1.
By the way, you want to talk about Major League, the parallels between Major League and Ted Lasso? They're very similar stories when you look at it from a distance.
Explain.
Yeah, kind of.
The ragtag team that's not doing too well, they're facing relegation.
Explain knowing that there's points riding on this. If Josh lawyers you
no, I'm not going that far. I'm not willing to defend it points wise.
Look, I get from that, right? But the thing is that
I said parallels. I didn't say they're identical. They didn't lift it. There's not a
right. Okay, so in the first few episodes, you are 100% correct, right?
Yes.
You've got the team owner who wants the team to lose every game.
One person who's actually invested in the team. Yeah.
You've got an inexperienced manager in Lou Brown, but not someone he wasn't someone who didn't know anything about baseball.
Right.
Right. And she brought in Ted Lasso as a circus show to just really to stick it to her ex. I get all that. Right. And for the first few episodes, there were quite a few parallels. However, that I think that your comparison really takes away from Ted Lasso.
No, I'm not trying to take. Just there's similar. There's just things that are like, oh, all right. I mean, there's the one time where he says, what did he say? Win the whole fucking thing. Like he directly quotes Major League.
I know.
No. I'm not saying that makes it a. Again, I'm just saying there's similarities. I'm not saying they tie the two together, that they're one for one, or that hey, if it wasn't for Major League, we wouldn't have Ted Lasso. Not that. I'm just saying, hey, if you look at those a little bit, they're they have kind of a similar beat from time to time. The rest of it's completely unique.
So, CJ, I started this whole little debate with 5 points in my mind. Josh significantly tossed around your argument, and
I have no argument.
The 2 points that you deserve for mentioning that, yes, some movies and television shows have things that are similar to each other.
That's all I'm saying.
You get 2 points for that.
There was a manager who didn't want them to win, and then at the end, they're rooting for the team.
Josh, I'm going to give you 1 point just because you so expertly tore that to shreds. Thank you very much. It was beautiful to watch. Let me tell you.
No.
It's like with the Adam Project, the kid said something. Okay, but the kid said something from like Deadpool. Does that?
Yeah. Oh
no.
That, right. And that's the point.
That was not the point I was trying to make.
No, but that is the point that stuck. That's like the only point that you made.
Stayed
really
with you.
It's very true.
No, yeah, well, that's because that's how you framed it up. Frame things up better. Brian, give yourself a point just for being awesome.
Thank you. Yes, I will. I'll take that point.
Yeah.
I will also say Adam Project, Time Cop with a Kid, pretty good film.
Huh?
You like
Agreed.
Time Cop? You'll probably like Adam Project. I enjoyed it.
I thought it was the best Netflix movie he's made.
I haven't seen Six Underground. I saw Red
Notice. Probably not very good because it's a Netflix movie.
Red Notice was decent. I didn't
Red
see
Notice
Six
was
Underground.
Red Notice
Adam
was
Project was good.
movie.
I actually enjoyed it.
Adam Project was very good.
Alrighty. So, that leaves us going into the final topic here. I'll give you guys a little points recap here. So Josh is at 10 points currently. CJ, you have 9 points going into this final topic. So a lot closer than anyone would think because Josh has been so eloquently smacking you around. But pity points will get you far, CJ. So
that's fine.
Let's see if you can squeeze this out based on pity. What is your topic?
As we have previously discussed, you are not allowed, just again, because we are the best nerdy podcast in the world, you are not allowed to publish a list and call it of all time or the definitive list of things, and this is the end all be all. Therefore, I submit for our submission today to make the proper list, the 15 most confusing movies of all time. right? And this really comes down to, hey, and I'm putting a link into the show notes here so you can check it out. This derived from, this is what people had to Google after they watched the movie, and they Googled or looked for explanations for the movie. While you're perusing it, I'll read you the quick 15 or one on this list. And what I'd like to hear from you guys is what movie kind of left you scratching your head at the end of it, or what movie were you interested enough that you wanted to dive deeper to try to better understand either the movie or the ending that you just didn't get from the movie when you were watching it. So in order from 15 to 1, number 15 is A Space Odyssey, 2001 A Space Odyssey, then Inception, Memento, The Matrix, for some reason, the first Matrix, Predestination, Fight Club, Arrival, The Shining, Nocturnal Animals, Interstellar, Mulholland Drive, which is a David Lynch movie, so that makes sense, Donnie Darko, Shutter Island, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is a new Netflix movie, just kind of came out 2 years ago, and then, of course, the number one on this list is Tenet, which I would agree with because that movie made no fucking sense at all. So I am kind of curious to get your 5. I don't need 15. And you can throw in some honorable mentions after we get through our 5, but what are 5 movies that kind of left you going, either I need to watch this again to better understand, or I'm going to Google this to really understand what I just kind of got into. If it would help, I have my 5 ready to go if you need some time to think, research, and otherwise take a peek at, or if you're ready to go, I'll open it up for anybody else.
I can give you one.
Please go ahead, Josh.
I have a problem with this list.
Of course we do.
Of course.
Because there's a huge difference between confusing and mind-bending.
Yes.
True.
I agree with you on this.
Okay?
Yep.
I think Inception was pretty straightforward. It's just
right.
It's just ambiguous.
Right.
Well, right. So, no, but look, Inception, Memento, The Matrix, Predestination, Fight Club, Arrival, Interstellar, Donnie Darko, Shutter Island, and Tenet are not confusing.
I will fight you to the death on Donnie Darko.
It's a mind fuck. It doesn't mean it's confusing.
I don't understand that movie at all.
I do. And I agree
every
with
time
Josh.
I watch this movie, I'm just like, I need what the hell did I watch? It's on my list, but not on my top 5.
I agree with Josh that this title is incorrect. It should be the 15 most mind-bending movies of all time, according to viewers. Not confusing. And I don't necessarily think... So I'll give you the perfect example. Memento's on this list, right? I watched Memento when it was first out, early 2000s, right? Before we all had a computer in our pocket. And in order for me to Google anything, I would have to go out to my dining room family computer and kick off one of my siblings to try and Google it. So instead of doing that, I just it's the only movie to this date where I watched it and said, wow, and then rewatched it.
Right.
And I didn't immediately after. And here's the thing. I didn't rewatch it because it was confusing. I rewatched it because that ending makes everything make sense. And you get a completely different experience the second time you watch that film.
And that's why, if we're going to pick apart my words for Major League and Ted Lasso, let's pick apart my words for what I said for this topic, which is, what movie did you watch that after you were done watching it, you wanted to either research and or rewatch again to better understand the movie as a whole? Right?
I agree with you. I know that's not your question. I think Josh's point is...
This list is terrible.
This list is flawed.
Which is why I bring it. I bring the flawed list so we can correct the world, right? And get the right list that's out there.
When I think about confusing movies, I think about Highlander the Quickening, Aeon Flux.
Aeon Flux is confusing.
Aeon Flux is very confusing.
I think of Matrix.
Oh, Rollerball. Rollerball was incredibly confusing.
I think of Matrix Reloaded. Just for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, the last 15 minutes of Reloaded. You're like, wait a minute, what happened here? When did that happen?
The reason I have Tenet on my number 1, as well as it's on the number 1 on this list, is number 1, I literally just could not follow the movie because there were parts where literally I could not hear the dialogue, so I just don't know what the fuck is happening. Then the end fight is just, a faceless, maskless, good guys shoot bad guys, blue fights red thing. And I just left the theater going, I don't know, or left the theater. I left my couch going, I don't know what the fuck I just watched. Can someone just explain to me this thing? Because I'm not rewatching it again, and I'm never going to. Please explain to me Tenet, because I just don't get it at all.
So I'm going to give you one off the bat for myself.
Please.
This is a film that
There's a goat?
Excuse you. You done? Yeah. Okay. This is a film that I think it's underrated because it doesn't explain everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a bad thing against the film. I think people just don't want to do the work to actually like make the leaps that the movie is making.
Right.
And that's Jordan Peele's Us. I watched that film, and have either of you seen Us?
No, I'm going to see Nope in an hour.
I'd love to see Nope. I will tell you this, because, you know, Jordan Peele is one of the hot tickets right now.
Yep.
I thought Get Out was fine, but I think Us is the better film. And I think Us does a really great job of giving me just enough information. And then, yeah, I do need to rewatch it. Mm-hmm. Or I do need to Google some things to really get what he's getting at here. I think Get Out's a little in your face. Like,
sure.
Here's the metaphor. I think Us hides it a little bit better. And it's definitely scary. It definitely takes a turn from scary to action for a little bit. And you're like, oh
good.
If all you know about Us is what you saw in the trailers, about halfway through the film, it takes a turn and you're like, this is not what I was advertised. But you're along for the ride because you're halfway through at that point.
Yeah.
And this movie does this really interesting job, and I'm not gonna spoil the film, but I'm gonna spoil the meaning of the film for you. So maybe when you guys watch it, you'll see what I saw. But I watched this film and I said to myself, I need to do some additional reading. And I Googled it and I read several articles about what is this film really about? Because I just wasn't seeing it after the first watch. Right. On a second watch, I see it now. And it's really about how people or a country, maybe the US, will take up a cause because it's the flavor of the week, and then we forget about it. And we forget about it very quickly.
Yep.
That movie ends with all of the under people, the evil people, the discarded people. I forget what they call them in the movie. Movie ends with them all holding hands. And the movie begins with an advertisement for Hands Across America. And you're like, what does that have to do with the film at all? If you're just looking at it on surface level, right. You're like, why did this ending and why did I see that ad? And you're like, what is this even talking about? And it's talking about that. We did this huge thing about with Hands Across America, and then we very quickly abandoned it. Homelessness is still a problem, and we don't talk about it nearly as much as we used to. And that's what I got in my research. And so, and it is what has formed my opinion of, I think Us is the better film, because I think that it does that so well that it made me want to do the additional research. It wasn't like, oh, I have to do it. It didn't feel like homework. It was like, I want to find out what Jordan Peele was kind of trying to get across in this film. So I am hands down, Us is one of those films that I had to do additional research. I will tell you, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to go on to another film.
Oh yeah,
so
I had one
to say about Us. Go.
No, I had another film real quick, but it's just like it's a quick honorable mention for my listeners because Josh talked about it at the beginning, which is I left Birdman with I have to watch this again. Because I know I
left Birdman saying I'm never going to watch.
Oh no, I was like there are things I know now that I missed, and this movie's a little bit different. If I watch this again, knowing how this whole arc is going to play out, and that ending, I want to kind of get all the context back. So let me go back and rewatch this again. What's real? What's not? Okay, let me go and watch this movie again. So it was on my list, not top 5, but in my top 10 of. I watched it again and I read about it again after I watched it the first time, just because I know I missed something and I wanted to pick it up. And the second watch was much more enjoyable, and I was picking up on little things throughout the entire process. I don't know if you feel that way, Josh, after you just watched it for the first time.
Yeah.
It's so, I kind of felt okay, this guy's got are his powers all in his head? Like, is this and so I'm not sure, having finished it, whether or not how much of that was actually real. Like, I'm not convinced anything in his general vicinity was real.
Right.
But the really, really solid metaphor for, generally how self-centered people are, right? And completely incapable of seeing all the wonderful stuff that's going on around them. So I'll speak for myself, but like, in that everything was going right and he couldn't see it, couldn't appreciate it,
nope.
couldn't, and it, you layer that in with the character he's playing, and you're just like, it was a reminder that, I'll share a personal story and then I'll tell you why I think it's important. So I can count on probably one hand the number of times I have misspoken professionally in the last decade and change.
Right.
Like, yep. It's just not something I do. It's not a mistake that I make. And I made a mistake and I had to walk it back. And like, I'm typing out this email to walk it back and apologize and explain what I should have done. And I didn't feel like the world was coming to an end. I didn't feel like everything around me was on fire and I was on fire and the bike was on fire and I was dying because I'm in hell, right? I didn't feel any of those things. I was reminded of that watching the movie because, I don't know, call it growth, call it whatever, but like, I was able to go, you know what? I don't fucking make mistakes that often.
Right.
This isn't that bad, right? It's not the end of the world. It's probably not even on anybody's radar except for mine because I'm self-centered, right? So that movie was a really, really good visual portrayal of like the self-centeredness of human beings. And was it real? Was it not? Who the fuck knows? That's kind of the point.
Right.
But ambiguity does not mean confusion. It was deliberately ambiguous.
Correct. Yes.
Right? Because what she looks down, Emma Stone looks down expecting that he is committed suicide,
right.
But he's flying.
Yeah.
Josh, plus 1 point for showing that even you can make a mistake. Thank you. Gives me hope.
I feel like I made this list and somehow I'm bumping Josh up on this. All right. There was one movie that I didn't leave that I don't think was ambiguous. I clearly just there are times where you leave a movie, right? And you ask yourself one question, or at least I do. Hey, am I stupid, or did this movie not make any fucking sense? Like, did I miss the point? Or was this movie just bad, but everyone says they like it because they didn't get it and they don't want to say that they didn't get it? So therefore, it's a great movie and you just don't understand it, but you left thinking maybe you're an idiot. And I felt that way when I watched Mother. And if you haven't seen Mother, good, don't. But Jennifer Lawrence is in the movie, and then she's the main. It gets wackadoo crazy. There's maybe some drawing in comparisons to the Trinity, and a bunch of mythology comes into play. And I'm just sitting here going, all right, did I misunderstand this movie, or is it fucking dumb? I don't know which one it is. But I did spend a good 25 to 30 minutes reading articles about it just to see, did I pick up the point of the movie? Because the last thing I want to do is leave a movie going, oh, I fucking missed the point. I'm like if I watched Us, Brian, and I didn't pick up on that stuff, I would probably kick myself for not catching, oh, this is actually a larger conversation, but I just took it right at the surface value. And the more I dug into Mother, the more I realized it's just bad movie. But I spent a good 45 minutes. I'm telling you the real time now. It was about an hour and a half. Just making sure that I wasn't a dumb idiot who missed something. It's not a good movie, but I'll tell you, I left the movie theater going, what the hell did I miss?
A lot of the movies on this list, there are fantastic theory pages and subreddits about, and I've read a lot of them. I have gone real deep on the Matrix, and Inception. Predestination was one of the better mind benders I've seen in recent years. Confusion, though, the only thing that keeps coming to mind is it's actually a show on Apple TV called Severance. Now, it's very, very good. It's very good, but I have no idea what I'm watching.
I'm two episodes in. I feel the same way.
I'm watching and I'm like, wait a minute. All right, I said, we'll keep watching it, Laura, but like at some point, I'm gonna go back and watch the first couple episodes. She goes, "This is episode 1." And I went,
yep.
Nope. There's no way this is episode. What did we like? They left the first. And not in like a Tarantino way where that you come in the middle and it's not like that. It is. I still don't know what, having watched the entire first season, I don't know why this is happening. When this is happening, who started it? I have no idea about anything. It's incredibly confusing, and like not the same way that Highlander: The Quickening was incredibly confusing. Just like I want to know. I wish you would tell me why, but every episode ends and I'm no closer to understanding what the hell is happening.
But it's still so good that you're going to watch the next episode, right?
I am. Now, let me give you a confusing one that was confusing, made no sense whatsoever, and maybe along the lines of Mother. Did you either of you watch Spiderhead?
Not yet. It's on my watch list. I was going to do it this weekend.
Don't.
Really?
Leave it off.
Oh, I love Miles Teller.
Oh, I love Miles Teller. You will watch that movie and go, what the fuck did I just watch?
It's so sad.
I mean, I mean, I get it, but once you find out what's
Sure.
going on, you're kind of like, oh, that's
bad.
That's the thing. Like, that's the Achilles heel. That's the thing that sets it off.
Someone told me it was like Ex Machina, and I'm like, well, I fucking love Ex Machina. Give me all that every day, all day. It not like that at all? Damn it.
I don't know because I've never seen it because you wouldn't stop talking about it for 3 years. So I just went, I'm not.
That's how Ted Lasso started. That's how Doctor Who started. That's how Buying a Mac started. Just do it.
That's not the hill you want to die on.
Josh, plus 1 point for saving me 2.5 hours of time. CJ, I'm going to give you 2 points for the list, even though it is flawed. It is generating a wonderful conversation, which is not done yet. I'm just giving you the points before I forget.
No, that was actually the end of it.
I
wanted to make sure that I honored your original question and gave you movies that confused me, but I also wanted to make sure that I said this list is horseshit and people need to learn how to make lists.
I'm going to give you a movie that confused me and I refused to rewatch, and that is Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise.
That's on my watch list.
What's confusing about that?
I listen, I watched it when I was a young man, so I may not have had all of the faculties that I needed to watch that film.
That's
but
exactly
I also remember saying, this movie is dog shit, so I never watched it again.
Wait, is Nicole Kidman in that?
No, Penelope Cruz. Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz and Penelope Cruz.
I will see you in another life, Brian, when we are both cats.
If that is a reference to Vanilla Sky, I did not get it.
It's a reference.
So minus 1 point for trying to connect with me on a movie that I just told you was shit.
That's way out of left field for Cameron Crowe.
It is, and it's
really
good.
Very left field for him. And like I remember watching it when it first came out because I was a Cameron Crowe fan, right? And like I just when did that come out? Like 2004, something like that.
Something like that. That is a movie, Brian, that after I got done, it's the complete opposite of what this list is. After I got done, I wanted to watch it again, and I read more about it, and I watched it again, and I read more about it. Like I just kept going back to the well. Like that movie was in a heavy rotation for a good 3 years for me. It's an artsy thing. Yeah, it was probably.
It is very.
The movie came out in 2001. I was probably watching this when I was studying acting in college. So like I was putting this in heavy rotation. I think my brother Mike, Josh, that was into this movie very much and got me on there. So don't hold that against him.
No, he was in college by that point.
I have nothing else to add besides No, never mind. That's fine. I have nothing else to add. We're good. The Lobster. You should watch The Lobster. I don't know if you remember that. It was when we were doing Fantasy Movie League, and it kept winning tons and tons and tons of
I remember
money on that one.
It also
It's a weird
does not seem
movie.
like my cup of tea.
A weird movie.
Oh,
The
here's another one that confuses me, but is total crap in my opinion. Being John Malkovich. Hate that film. Who directed that?
Then I watched Adaptation, and they're kind of tied together.
You're cruising for negative points again.
You know what? At this point, I'll die on. I will defend movies I like. I did not like Being John Malkovich
CJ?
when I first watched it. Right?
You know what?
It was
CJ, plus
not
2 points for being drawing your line in the sand.
okay.
Good job.
All right. I did not like Being John Malkovich when I first watched it. I liked Adaptation when I watched it and then found out the connection to Being John Malkovich, and then that gave me a better appreciation for the movie. It's still weird. It is not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not recommending you watch these movies. If you haven't watched them already, you probably don't want to because you would have watched it by now. But I appreciated that movie after I saw its companion piece. But again, you shouldn't have to read a book to understand the movie, and you shouldn't have to watch another movie to understand another movie. So
Very true. Very true. Alrighty. Well, let's wrap this shindig up. I know, Josh, you have a movie time to make. And
yes, Max, award the final points.
I'm gonna give you both 2 points for dealing with my background noise. Appreciate it, both of you. All right. So let me break out the old calculator here. Hold on.
TI-80. Well, is that the right? Is that the right? The Texas Instruments and the TI-80?
84.
84.
Well, there was an 82. I'm sure there was an 80. But
I was just hoping I wasn't confusing TI and then something else. It was actually supposed to be TI.
TI 84 is what I remember. There might have been a 92.
Well, let's look.
TI 92. Yeah, the 92 was the landscape.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The 84 is definitely the one that people would program to put Mario. And
84 is the scientific one. The one that everybody had in sophomore year of high school.
And then they hacked it and we played video games on it. Yeah.
That was after my time.
Okay.
CJ,
Sir?
it is currently tied right now, but plus 1 point for unlocking a core memory because I had Tetris on my TI. So that means CJ wins.
Well done.
The worst part was here's a fun fact of just of the podcasting editing thing. I've been enjoying this new format very much. Right, most everything we say is just staying in the show. I've been enjoying our conversations very much.
Have to take out a ton.
We haven't had Stinger since we've done this. Since we've started this new format, the last three or four episodes, we haven't had Stinger material. And I was like, you know what, this calculator bit. This will be a Stinger because this isn't going to be relevant to anything in this conversation. But now it unlocked a point, so now it stays in the main show. All right,
there you go.
I say Hillshire, you say Farm.
The score was 12-12 until CJ unlocked that core memory. So CJ wins 13-12. Josh, valiant effort. If you had been the guy who was like, "Oh yeah, I had Tetris on my TI-84," I would have given you the point. But I'm sorry, Josh. That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, it's fine. CJ did well.
Well. And so that is it for today's show. So what I want to say to you listeners, thank you so much for spending this past hour or so with us, listening to us ramble on about, sports movies and confusing films and mind-bending films. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did as well. Thank you for making us your walk around the neighborhood. You're cleaning the house. Maybe you're working from home. Who knows? We appreciate it. And you'll all have a wonderful week. We will be back next week with CJ hosting.
Woo!
Well, welcome to the club, 'cause you are that kind of nerd.